Chapter 10. Don't surrender, Motherland. I'm with you. Seeing Anasta running toward him, Don joyfully bobbed his head, flapped his ears, and halted. The huge mammoth stretched up his trunk out toward the little girl and lightly touched her shoulder with its tip. She took hold of the tip of the trunk, pressed her cheek to it, and tenderly stroked it. Then she gave the order, "Follow me," and ran hopping off back in the direction of the family space that they had left. The mammoth hastily turned around and ran after Anasta. When Anasta grew tired, she gestured to the mammoth to stop and scrambled up his trunk and onto his head. When she'd made her way up onto Don's back, she saw the kitten there too. He had long since grown into an adult cat, but he had retained his nickname of Kitten. He started rubbing against the little girl's leg and purring, expressing his joy and devotion. The three of them made their way to the abandoned family space by late evening. Anasta sent Don off to the pasture, went into her little clay house, made her way in the darkness to her sleeping spot with the aromatic hay, lay down on it, and immediately fell asleep. Anasta was up with the dawn. She ran out of her little home and, blinking and spreading her arms wide, offered her body up to the tender, warm rays. After taking the sun bath, the little girl ran to the stream and, taking a running jump, went with a splash into the little creek with its clear water. The cold spring water burned Anasta's body, but she splashed and laughed in delight. Then, after making her way out of the water, hopping and spinning around on the shore, as if she had no idea where to go and how to use the unusual energy that had filled her, she ran up onto a small hill. A cold wind was blowing. The little girl tied her shawl around her waist and threw its free end over her shoulder. She looked silently at the land where her family line had lived so very recently. The family space where once the sounds of voices of a great many birds and the chirping and buzzing of insects had unceasingly been heard, was now keeping some kind of fateful silence. Here and there the grass shone white from the chill of the night. The trees and bushes in the gardens were not blooming. Their little leaves were curled as if in despair. And the family space, shrouded in the oppressive silence, with its withering but still living natural diversity, attended to the little girl with incomprehension. And all of a sudden, everything all around shuddered when a cry of desperate and confident joy pierced the oppressive silence like a warm ray of light. "Hey! Hey!" Anasta shouted, in defiance of the oppressive silence. "Don't surrender, Motherland. I am Anasta, Motherland. I am with you." She ran down from the hill and dashed to her flower bed, touching the tree trunks with her hands as she ran and stroking the little leaves of the bushes. "Hey!" she cried out once more, running around the trunk of a big old apple tree with shriveled leaves. The little girl's thin, high, and joyful little voice was conquering the silence that had been oppressing the family space. And suddenly, another voice joined hers, a powerful, low bass. Don the mammoth was running from the pasture at Anasta's cry, running and trumpeting for all he was worth as he went. And next to the little girl, you could also hear an incessant meow, meow, and it was the cat nicknamed Kitten, meowing in support of Anasta. Anasta stopped at the flower bed that she herself tended, the way all children in the settlement each tended their own flower beds. The grass on one edge of the flower bed had been turned gray, and the flowers had dropped, and only one still unopened bud remained on the little girl's favorite flower. It was drooping toward the ground as if it had thought the better of blooming. But the sight of the drooping bud did not make the little girl sad. She was looking at it and smiling. She wasn't sad because she was imagining her favorite flower not drooping, but a bloom in all its beauty. Squatting down before the flower that had been getting ready to wilt, she quietly and tenderly called out to it, "Hey, little flower, I'm here. Wake up." Then she held her index finger in her mouth and raised it to determine from which side the cold wind was blowing on the flower. Having determined the direction of the flow of glacial air, she lay down on her side, on that side of the flower, in an attempt to block the path of cold air with her own body. Even so, the cold currents still enveloped the flower's small body and stung its leaves, preventing them from straightening up. Suddenly, the cold streams of air stopped, and Anasta felt the opposite. She felt warmth on her back. She turned. Don the mammoth had flopped down on his side and shielded Anasta and her entire flower bed from the cold with his own body. "Good for you, Don, you smart thing," Anasta exclaimed. Latching onto his fur, she scrambled up onto the mammoth's back. Turning to face the wind that was blowing from the direction of the glacier, she joyfully and victoriously shouted her, "Hey!" The cold wind blew even more strongly. Then, after thinking a bit, the little girl turned in the opposite direction and shouted a summons and waved her arms, as if inviting someone invisible to come. The mammoth raised his trunk up high and trumpeted a summons, too. Kitten began meowing and calling. The cold wind quieted down, but some time later it started up again, only now it was blowing from the other side, and it was caressing the flower and the mammoth and the little girl and the cat standing on his back with warm currents. The singing of the few remaining birds greeted the life-giving streams of air. For several days, Anasta fought against the cold wind blowing from the direction of the glacier. Again and again, she would run to her flower as soon as the wind started up. And each time the mammoth would lie down next to the flower bed, as had become his habit, blocking the cold's path. Then the day came when the rejuvenated flower bloomed. Running up to the mound of earth, Anasta got down on her knees before the flower and kissed the orangey red petals, touching them lightly with her lips. Then she took 2 steps to the side and admired the beautiful miracle and the extraordinary beautiful creation, her flower. Since she could not stay standing in one spot, due to the exuberant energy that had surged up from somewhere inside her, Anasta first hopped up and down in place, then her hops morphed into an unusual, improvised, and rousing dance. Even Don the mammoth was trying to dance along, shifting from one leg to another. Kitten was spinning around, now flopping down on his back, now jumping up again, and the living flower was waving its orangey red petals at them in the warm breeze. And then Anasta stopped. She'd caught sight of 2 youths standing on the mountain.